Hey guys, this is Clint, and this is actually my second attempt at recording this video. First time it got too long, so I'm going to make this a little bit more to the point. I want to talk about Captain Marvel and why Screen Rant is wrong on, we agree that Captain Marvel is the most controversial film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they say it really shouldn't be, or rather Thomas Bacon says it shouldn't be controversial, and I say, of course it's controversial. But before we get into that, if you're interested in a comic book with actually a female co-lead, you'd say, this is Downcast. This is a book that I'm writing, and the most important thing you can do is go down to the description. There's a link for this video, a link to my mailing list, and this is coming out on April 2nd to Indiegogo. Promise not to spam you. It's just to inform you so that you can get in on this really exciting comic book. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's politics free. It's just fun. Okay, so why is Captain Marvel so controversial? Now, I don't know why this is hard for people to grasp. You have to understand there's a little bit of history. So we agree here that Captain Marvel has become a very controversial film. Now, I think it's important to understand that this vocal minority, they call it, a vocal minority of fans that are unhappy with Captain Marvel, or they have a low expectation. You have to understand the history of the comics. Captain Marvel in the comic books is absolutely, or has become anyway, a politically divisive character. Not only that, she's just not an interesting character because, I mean, the sales don't lie. Her comic books don't sell well. They have to keep rebooting the franchise and making new Captain Marvel #1s because they're so desperate to make this title work. The truth is, fans don't like Captain Marvel because of how Captain Marvel's written. Now, it's not because Captain Marvel is a woman, because there are a lot of female characters in comics that fans of, and most comic readers happen to be male. But male or female, people love a lot of characters. Black Widow, you've got Storm, you've got a ton of X-Men, you've got, heck, even Spider-Gwen. You've got lots of characters that are female that fans like because they're written interestingly. They have a nice story. There's something to like there, and it's not about feminine. So they're starting to say, because of all the negative things that have been said, they're worried about the Ghostbuster effect. Now, if you remember, the new Ghostbusters film was a gender bender. It was all females, and it wasn't just like, hey, this would be fun to have, female Ghostbusters. It was done out of spite, really. It was done because they wanted to, there should be female Ghostbusters. So no male Ghostbusters, there's going to be female ones. And it did really poorly at the box office because it was marketed with these political undertones, and people don't like that. It really is controversial, though it might not be in Hollywood. For the rest of the country, and in fact the world, it is. It's annoying. Okay, the other one is Star Wars, especially The Last Jedi. This is definitely, I think, the worst Star Wars movie I've ever seen. It wasn't fun. There were a few things that were really annoying about it, and one of those being the character development. Good characters and good storytelling means that characters there's like try-fail cycles, right? They're trying to overcome something and they fail. They try to overcome it again in a different way and they fail. And then eventually they succeed. And then you get the emotional payoff. They've worked for something really hard. They get there and you get a good feeling. That's good storytelling. In this case, it's just not the same thing because The Last Jedi, all of a sudden she's just a Jedi master and she knows better than Luke, and it was annoying to people because it seemed like this, feminism was pushing this to become a good film just because they wanted there to be a strong female lead, so they made her so strong and overpowered. So are people worried about Captain Marvel being overpowered all of a sudden being introduced into the universe? Absolutely they are, because Disney did the same thing with Star Wars. And it really, it takes the fun, it takes the drama out of the movies. Okay, so another complaint, or many complaints, are about Brie Larson herself. And a lot of these are because of Brie Larson's political points of view. She's a radical feminist, and she's not afraid to let you know about it. So leading up to a film, when you're watching the little press junkets that they do, and they're talking to different, media figures and journalists, and they keep bringing up, Brie Larson keeps bringing up inclusion and diversity when they're asking her about the movie. It's weird. And so people are taken back to their days at college and, the gender studies classes and having this stuff rammed down their throat. And they don't want to do that for fun, right? That's torture. Why would you go to a film to do that for fun? So even though we don't know what's in the movie yet, I certainly don't know if politics are going to be there. But leading up to it, there's so much virtue signaling that you can't help but think, I'm sure it's going to be about this. Okay, so they do bring up Ms. Marvel, and that being a deliberate political statement because it was also written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, who's a comic book writer and very, very extreme feminist. And it's supposed to be about feminine. And I'll remind you that those comics don't sell well. So if you're trying to appeal, or if you're wondering why it's controversial, you have to understand there's more that's going on here. Okay, so if we get into it a little bit more, Brie Larson, another thing, she mentioned a little while back that she wanted to make her, her press pools more inclusive. So she wanted to see less straight white men and more of everything else except. Again, I think there's a disconnect because Hollywood is in a bubble. A lot of the people that are on TVs, or even journalists, they don't live in the real world. They have a very skewed perspective, and so to them this seems absolutely normal, especially when Brie Larson says she spoke with Dr. Stacy Smith at USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, who put together a study that confirms. Now, I can tell you that these studies that they do are not, they're ridiculous. They're not actually, they don't mean anything. They're going to measure any way that they can to find, especially, if you're looking at an inclusion initiative, their goal is to find that straight white men are, troop relevant or have too much power. And so there's always going to be evidence to minimize them. So this is going to be controversial. If you've been on the internet at all the past several years, you would know that social justice politics, identity politics are extremely controversial. So being surprised about that being brought up in entertainment is just baffling. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit annoying. So they bring up the Rotten Tomatoes thing, and they're going to call everybody trolls. Obviously, that give it bad reviews. Nobody has seen it yet, I guess, unless you're a reviewer or something. You've seen a pre-screening. I'm not sure when that all goes down. But to say that all the bad reviews are trolls and all the good reviews are legitimate, that seems pretty silly. And he goes into page 2 on why Captain Marvel's controversy won't matter. And this is interesting. Okay, we'll start here on the first paragraph. For all the heat Captain Marvel appears to be generating, the truth is, it's probably safe to relax. These trolls aren't doing anything new. They attacked Star Wars: The Last Jedi in pretty much the same way, and that film went on to become the highest-grossing blockbuster of 2017. Now, I will point out that most of the outrage for this film came after the fact, and I do think that the movie after it, what was that, Solo, that really suffered from it, right? Because they weren't expecting to just get, the worst Star Wars film they've ever seen. And so future films, they're going to watch less. So while this one didn't see the hit in sales, the next one, which was Solo, certainly did. Okay, and then they announced far-right trolls that were there to sabotage Black Panther, and Black Panther sold well. I don't know if I count, am I a far-right troll if I have a YouTube channel and talk about this stuff? I don't know, who exactly are they calling a troll? But I will say that I actually liked Black Panther. It was, was a good show. I didn't care for all of the grandstanding over it, that it was the first black superhero, because that's just not true. What about Blade? What about Falcon, or whatever his name is? I mean, there's been a lot of characters that are black superheroes, and, it doesn't make sense to say that this is the first. But, the movie was fun. So I will say, if Captain Marvel's a good movie, then I think it'll stay a good movie, and that'll be fine. If it's a bad movie, though, if people's fears are justified, then it'll be the next film. Just like that happened with Star Wars, it'll be the next film that suffers because of them mishandling the film. Okay, this is one I love that he said. The truth is that this vocal minority act as though they speak for audiences everywhere, but they're actually pretty easy to tune out, and their actions don't have much of an impact on box office performances. That's right. So why is there so much attention being put here then? I would say also that small vocal minorities of people have been the cause for all of the politics and the social justice in comic books, end in films, right? So if there's not a counter, vocal minority that is against that stuff, then you're just going to keep getting more of the same. So honestly, it shouldn't be surprising that there is, two sides of the story, and you're going to have a vocal minority of fans that are going to speak up and, say that they don't want that kind of stuff. So hopefully it'll actually be a good thing, and they'll make movies that are just fun and entertaining, and they don't have anything to do with politics. But that's probably a pipe dream. So I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you next time.